I'm introducing my good friend Charley Harley, also known as Bink. I met Charley 3 years ago. I had the pleasure of being introduced to him by one of our past board members, Laura, who recently passed away, and we all miss very much in the local history community. So I'm very grateful for her to her for introducing us. Just one quick story about Charley. So over the summer, the Deter cabin down on the other side of 73, this historic building, which is owned by the Preservation Trust of Berks County, one of the shutters had fallen off. The Gottwalls called me up and told me that one of the shutters had fallen off, and it was just laying in the yard. So we went over, and I got my carpenter friend to help me put it back in, but we needed the pintle, which is the little piece of metal that holds up the shutter, but we couldn't find it anywhere. So I was like, well, there's got to be here somewhere. So I called up Charley. He brought over his metal detector, and sure enough, within pretty much 2 minutes, he had found that pintle, and we got it back. We got the original one back into the window. So that just shows, how much you can do with the metal detector. But yeah, please give a warm welcome to Charley and enjoy the presentation.
I like the meetings you have here, by the way. That was pretty quick. I like that. Yeah, it's been a journey. Someone asked me tonight already how many years I've been doing this. Well, I've been doing it for 3 years now. Not very long, you can see some of my sample items are here. But thanks for coming out, listening to or watching me and listening to me talk about digging holes in people's yards. I try to make a good plug. I try to do a good job when we go about. But anyway, pleasure to be here. Sorry about the rain tonight, but it happens. The weather's been pretty good, so that's thankful for that. A lot of crops are in. Farmers, I see a lot of farmers here. And the farmers I see are, thank you for letting me metal detect on your farms. I appreciate that. We got some great things to display here. People ask me how I got started. First of all, you have to have a love of the past. Tom was at my house last night. He came in to talk to me about a few things, and he had a chance to sit down and have my wife Judy Snyder, one of her good meals, and we chatted a little bit. And Tom is really involved with the past, history. He talked a lot about his grandpa. Same here. My grandfather bestowed in me the love of the past, the history. Tom shared a lot of things with his past, and it goes back pretty far. He talked about, 1600s your family tree goes back that you're aware of? Okay. Well, mine goes back that I know, 1719. The Harleys came here in 1719 for religious freedoms. We were, the common name is known as Dunkers, German Baptist Brethren. They settled in Germantown, and the reason why I know is my grandfather lived with us, and he shared this with me. And he talked about they came here for religious freedoms. They went from Germantown to New Jersey, started 2 Dunker churches in New Jersey, went to Harleysville, came over to Pottstown, Coventry Church of the Brethren, and also Christtown, up on top of the hill here. They came through this area to settle there and start a church. But anyway, I got the love of that from my grandfather. He shared the past with me, and it's still with me to this day. Now, one of the things that got me started too was, oh, there I am. Didn't see that. That's down off 562 along the highway right before Watertown. But anyway, what got me started was actually my kids. We used to go to the beach. We detected the sand, and that was about it. So as years went on, I didn't think much about it. But with COVID and stuff like that, I had some free time, so I figured I'd go about and just have fun with it, and I started finding some great things. One of the things that I worked with first was there was a man nearby. His name is Martin Weaver? Martin Weaver? Okay. He saw me at an auction one time, and we started to talk a little bit, and he said, yeah, metal detecting. He said, you can do my farm. But before you do my farm, I want you to come down to Doylestown and find my survey pins for my house. So, yeah, that was a good deal, really. My wife went with me, and we went down there, and he just bought this house, and within, what, Judy, 15 minutes, I found all the survey pins. He was so impressed with that. But that gave me a chance to do his farm, which was a pretty good place to detect. So I started about 3.5 years ago, and the people I hang out with now, I did not know them 3.5 years ago. They're from, where, Judy? Texas. So my friends from Texas, Utah, they were here this past weekend. Vermont, New York, they came in to support the Bordertown Historical Society. I'm involved a little bit with Bordertown. We had a metal detecting event down there, and how this all started, COVID became a problem for the Bordertown Society. They didn't have the funds to support their cause. So we started to detect. We started to charge money. People came in to detect the land in Bordertown, a farm. We'd get a farm and do that. This past weekend we had a farm, and about 90 people showed up, and they went around with their detectors, and they found different coins, and they found bottles, and it was a fun time. So that's how I got involved with Bordertown. So it was a fun day for all of us. But one of the things that helps me out for this area is maps. We have all kinds of maps of the farms here, and of course it helps me when I go metal detect to knock on doors. And I mentioned the Snyders. They're from the Oley Valley, and that's helpful to me. They know who they are, and I guess they trust me then. But anyway, you can show the second slide here. Let's see what we got here. Oh, there's me holding my detector, and a shirt. We all wear shirts, metal detecting shirts, to identify who we are. You can go on the next one. Now, the reason why I want to show this here picture is, this is before us, of course, but you notice the bells on the horses? Well, off to the side over there, I found one of these bells next to the George Boone homestead. That was on the Howard Stoffu's property. They were called Conestoga bells, and you can see one there. That's a small one, and I think the next one is a larger one. That's the one I found at the Howard Stoffu's farm, which is right next to the George Boone homestead. That's old. That's a pretty old piece. Okay, that is the, help me out, is that the Snyder Mill? Right, that's the Snyder Mill? Yes. So that was just above the hill where I found it. Does anyone know how old that building is by any chance? 1770s, okay, and Howard restored it pretty nicely. All right, go on the next slide. Now, does anyone know what that is by any chance? What that is? Most people say sleigh bell. Okay, it's close to a sleigh bell. It's called a croda bell. That was before sleigh bells. That was probably about 1740, 1750s. And you can see at the very top has a little attachment to it. It went through the strap. In other words, they sliced the strap, put it through the slot, and they actually put a pin through it. And there's different sizes. A typical strap, they are about the size of from a golf ball all the way down to a tiny one. I just found one the other day on the one farm that we have. So that is croda bell, and they have little designs on there, and they have the number. That's probably a number 4 size croda bell, but they're common around here. There's another one with the petals. That's a number 2. And sometimes people, they gather and they collect them and they display them. And that's what we do at our house. We display our croda bells that we find. And you can see that little loop that I was referring to that goes up through the leather strap, put a pin through it, and they have a slot. And of course, there's a little ball inside. So when you find them, they're usually filled with dirt. We clean them out and we shake it to hear the bell. Okay, this is a young lady from Bordertown. She's just starting a little bit, and she's holding a sleigh bell. The difference between a croda bell and sleigh bell is that gets riveted through the leather. That's newer. That's about maybe 1870 and on. That was her first one she found. Anyone know what this is? a buckle for a shoe. That was found behind Earlville Hotel. Near Earlville there. That's close up, very ornate. They had money back then. If you find one like this, they were rich. And that's one that's complete. Oftentimes in the center, it's missing. So that shows you what they actually look like. The whole straps of the shoes together. And there's a picture of, I guess you can't see him wearing the shoes very well. There it is, I have a circle there. That's what we have there, a buckle for the shoes, like a pilgrim. I found this over on our family farm. That's a stirrup, and what makes that one unique, that's from a war, served from the saddle. That was probably in the Red War, Revolutionary War. And that's the ones in Valley Forge. So you can see they're pretty much the same. If you go back, Tom, you can see that's the same. I called them up and told them I found it, and they said, that was nice. They really didn't want it.
Was that in Valley?
Valley Forge, I called up.
Did you find that one in the Valley? Old Valley?
Yeah, the one that, the rusty one, and you can go back. Yeah, that one there was down on our family farm. The troops were here. I don't know if you guys realize that. The troops were here. After the Battle of Brandywine, they settled in near Boyertown, on the other side of Boyertown. It's called Camp Pottsgrove. A lot of people don't know about it. It's kind of sad because it's getting all built up. That area, they had somewhere about 10 to 12,000 troops there for almost 2 weeks. And when I was a student at Boyertown years ago, people would look for arrowheads. My friends would look for the artifacts from the encampment there. They were beat up pretty good at Brandywine, and the British were chasing them. After Brandywine, they were chasing them, and at Phoenixville, the British turned around and went back. The troops came up near Boyertown, and they needed food. They came up here for the food. They needed cannonballs. They came up here for cannonballs and to get resupplied. And I feel bad when I go down there because all the hills where they camped, it's all houses now. There was one spot down near Boyertown that a friend of mine, her name was Becky Freed, she has Freed's Market. And I knew the troops were there, and I asked them if I could go behind the market, and there's about an acre or two right behind the market that was pretty good with stuff. I was very surprised. And where the market is built, it was probably real good, but it's all blacktop paved over. But we found quite a bit. The interesting part about the Freeze place was we found a lot, an abundance of King George III coins. We think after the Battle of Brandywine, they were so upset with King George III, they threw the coins away. We found quite a few of them. So I thought that was unique. Okay, this is a common relic that we find. We find one almost every time we go out. So that tells a story, doesn't it? That they used horses to farm the land back then. All different sizes. And that's Jessica. That's over near Gablesville. Okay, here's a saddle from the Civil War, and take notice of the pommel at the very top. Next slide here, Tom. We found one. We found one over, not far from the Browns Farms, over at Weavertown Road and Limekiln Road. Weavertown Road and Limekiln Road, there was a house there, it was called the Brumfield House. He was a Quaker, and Tom Sachs owns the house. I drive by all the time, and I look at that house, and I guess it's shown off here? No? Okay. I used to look at the house, and it's a beautiful house, and I stopped there and asked Tom if I could, try his front yard. It was crazy. We found that, and didn't know what it was. We thought it was the top of a cane. But again, when we find stuff, we research it and try to find out what it is, and that's, if you go back one more time, Tom, and that's what it is, from the saddle. Civil War, by the way. So someone was at that property and that came off, and we found it. So it's kind of neat. You know what that is? A spur, right, spur. I found this next to my house. Okay, that goes way back too, by the way. That's a spur, very tiny, so I'm thinking maybe a child possibly, but that's very old, by the way. Okay, these are friends of mine. The girl on the left, she's from Bordertown. The fellow in the middle, he's from Utah. He comes in and hangs out with me a little bit, and the guy to the right is from Ohio. So they were behind the Earlville Tavern, and they found the cannonballs there. So what does that tell? Again, it tells a story. Something went on there. Does anyone know what that is by any chance? Any idea? We find a lot of these, by the way. Thimble? No. All right, Tom. There you go. From a Model A, Model T. Okay. They're made of plastic nowadays, by the way. That's what it is. So I don't know what they were doing driving cars out in the middle of the field, but we find them out in the middle of fields, 6 inches deep. Okay, this, we find these lying around, and that's a good sign. Why would you think that would be a good sign? Find something like this. Yeah, house was there, probably there. So when we find these, we, are pleased, and we hang out longer. This came from the Slagle farm. Mr. Slagle here? Where are you at, Mr. Slagle? Came from his farm. Okay? And I found this. I was excited about it. I had to leave to get my COVID shot that day. A couple of my friends stayed behind, and all of a sudden I'm standing in line, getting ready to get my shot, whatever, and they're sending me back pictures of things they were finding. Yeah, it was quite a place. One of the things I found out from your son was that when the pipeline went through, did they turn the pipeline or something? Okay, so when I heard this from his son about the pipeline got turned, I'm like, why would they turn it for? Do you know why they turned it?
So they put the artifacts.
Something was there, right?
When they were talking about the pipeline layout, they said that the archaeological digs and surveys were confidential, and that they were that the pipeline was adjusted to accommodate for what those surveys turned up, but they would not tell anybody that those.
And that's something. Yeah, that's something.
So we figured wherever they turned, there was something there.
Right. So that was the day I found that, and then of course I came back, and it's on top of the hill there. You can see all around. And
on the top of the hill.
that was on top of the hill. Your son said yonder. That's what he said to me. It's yonder. Okay. So that's what we did. We went up top, and it was the finds were a lot of coins. Something went on there. That's for sure. I think it was an outpost. The coins were early coins. The artifacts were early artifacts. A lot of barrel taps. In other words, they brought the water there or the whiskey or whatever they had to drink. They brought it there. It was, like I said, it was quite a sight.
Well, the house burned.
Oh, there was that. Did you know the house was there? Oh, okay.
His hardline told me about it, but I forget who lived there.
Was it a log house by any
I
chance?
have no idea.
Okay, but it went way back in time. The location was so perfect. You could stand there, always called a bowl, right? The word means bowl. You could stand there and spin around and see the bowl. And I'm thinking that people built that house there so they could see what was going on. Maybe the French and Indian War or something. That's how far back it went, from what we found. The detector doesn't find us what we do when we walk around. I have a whole pile over there from what we see. Not like the good old days when the fields were plowed. People do no-till now or chisel plow. You don't see the arrowheads as much, but once in a while we will find them. Okay, this button you see there is found next to my house. It's a George Washington inaugural button next to my house. I have not detected my house at all, by the way. This was found by mistake. I had friends come up and they were hanging out. We were going to do my neighbor's house, which was Thomas Boone. And they were standing around, and the neighbor wasn't ready for us to do the house. So they were getting bored, just staying along the road there. So I said, well, just go across the street here. And he found that. The one on the left is what it should look like, cleaned up, well, not in the dirt. So. But that's a rare one, And that was handed out back in 1789, I believe, when he came to Reading. Is that right, Tom? Did he come to Reading in 1789 to try to get elected again? This is also a Washington novel, but it was found behind Earlville Hotel again. What's unique about this one is it has 2 holes in it. Let's face it, back in the day when people lost a button, they would drill holes in it. That was, not hold like that, but they needed it to cover, close or coat up, I guess. But that's one that we found. Again, very rare, very unique in a way. This one has we call it the chicken on it. It's an eagle, but we call it the chicken because of the way it looks. Looks like it's been half plucked already, doesn't it? Okay, this is a typical end of the day hunt for us usually. The buttons, the bullets. The golden item there, you see the ones at the bottom, that's a Bible, a little Bible. Very unique. There's this one here, the reason I showed you this one here is we went to my wife's cousin's mill up in, where's that at, G? Roebuck's Mill, Leonard Roebuck's Mill. Is that, what town is that?
Shoemakersville.
Near the Christmas Village.
Shoemakersville.
So he invited me up, he said detect the mill and stuff, and I did not find a thing. Not a thing. And here I found out that what happened was when is it Blue Marsh Dam, I guess it's called up that way, when that was built, the sludge or whatever they put around the mill to raise up the soil. I didn't find anything. So before I left, he had a little tenant house nearby. I went up along the house, and they were together. That's a 50-cent piece and a silver ingot. They were on top of each other. So that was pretty good. I didn't find anything, but I found that was nice find.
That was in the Burnville area. I'm sorry, it moved from Shoemakersville to Burnville.
Oh, Burnville. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a Burnville up through there. This was found, again, near Earlville, behind Earlville Tavern. You guys know the Cooser farm, by any chance? He had a feed mill in Amityville years ago. I forget his first name. But Jerry Coover. No, Cooser, right, Jerry Cooser. It's a Jerry Cooser farm. And this was in the field. This coin is, I think, around 1786 from the Jersey. Okay, it's a Jersey coin from 1780. So each state made their own coins at one time. And that's a nice looking coin. 1780, that's a long time ago. Okay, this coin is actually a French coin. They still sell Pears soap. But back in the day, what they used to do, they used to give these out, these coins, and they had stamped on their Pears soap. I found this in, I guess it was Doylestown. I didn't know what it was right away. And I looked it up, Pears soap. It's actually soap that they sold, and they used to get these coins. It's a German coin, I think, and they'd stamp that and just hand them out. So that's kind of unique. All kinds of things. This is found down in near Gablesville. This is a friend of mine. We were all done the end of the day, and he's walking back to his car. That is a 2 real coin. That came from Spain. That's a common coin back in the day. And made in Spain. And if you look closer, you can see the mint on it, where it was the mint. And some of these come from Peru, which is surprising to me. They were minted in Peru, like 17, I'm not sure what the date is on that, but 17, maybe 56 or whatever there, I'm not sure. But it went from Peru to Spain to here. Think about that, back in the day there. That's one that I found. That's also a real. That's a half real, silver half real. I think it's 1762. And take this, has a hole in it. And you wonder why the holes there? They would pin the coins on their jackets and stuff like that. And then work in the fields, and then they lose them. This was just the other day. That's a real to the right, a button to the left. Indian pennies, which are very common around here. So that was just about a week ago. And this was found on our family farm behind Shane's, the schoolhouse there. Gene Shane's schoolhouse. We didn't know where to go, stand around. Now I remember your dad used to play in the woods there behind the schoolhouse. So didn't know where to go. So we just went in the woods. It's hickory, it's pretty thick, but we went in there anyway. We came out with this coin. It's a 3-cent coin. I think the date was around 1856. And it has 2 holes in it. I guess the kids used to play with it. What's that game, Judy? I was trying to figure out with the kids. Wizard, something? They put a string through it and they do this. That's what we think, because it was a schoolhouse there. But that's a very rare coin. It's tiny. It's called a trine. And again, we just found this the other day. We found this at Boyertown, the Boyertown hunt. When they decided to do a Boyertown hunt, they do 2 of them a year. They didn't know, well, they had a place for this fall to hunt, and it fell through. And a friend of mine has a small farm down there. He said, yeah, you guys can hunt. I had no idea of how old the farm was. I just knew it was in a good location. Tom, is not far from where your family has a land down there, not far from there. And that's a 1699 coin. That was found on the man's farm. Quite a few coins were found down that way. This is a Liberty Cap coin, very rare coin. I found this coin. It's the one at the top. So we have one to show you what it should look like. Mine was not cleaned up. That was right out of the ground. I went up to New York at an event up there about 2 weeks ago. And there were 300 guests invited, 2,000 acres, I believe it was. And that was I think the date on that mine was 1795. That's a very rare coin, by the way. Liberty Cap. This coin here, 1730. I found this coin 1 foot in from 662, dodging the tractor and trailers and cars and all that stuff, digging that coin out, about a foot in from 662. I like to do along the road, a lot of trash, but you find some great stuff. About 12 inches deep it was, but it's near, nice and clean coin. This is a coin that's common to be found around here. It's a barber quarter, I believe it is. We find quite a few of these. Look how clean that coin is. Silver coin, they don't change too much. I took a walk through the woods one day with the detector, came back with this. Most of it's junk, but it was still fun to find. Even the antler there was fun to find. Nothing's really great, but that's what you do. You clean up the trash. This was found on the Glick property, Glick's greenhouse. Does anyone know what that is? It's a mercury dime. It's a mercury dime, and it had that, whatever they did to it to do the face. My friend thought it was Jesus. I'm not sure, but that's a mercury dime. So the things you find, you question. Everything has a story that comes out of the ground. There it is there. It's kind of neat. And we looked it up, and there's others around. It's not the only one. This is King George I. This is what we do find these coins. That's not one that I found. That's just to show you what they look like. King George II. He's facing to the left. Or excuse me, he's facing to the right. Sorry about that. Next one is King George III, facing to the right now, I guess. So again, we find a lot of these because people did not like King George III. This is what we use here in Oley for exchange. People got mad, and we find a lot on the ground. This is my favorite coin. This is a called a Drake bust coin. Troy, where's Troy at? Troy, your pasture. I found about 3 of these in your pasture there that you have fenced off there. I went in there, and about 10 feet in from the road, I found 3 of these. This is a classic large cent. This is around 1808, 1814. We find them here also. This is after the classic, the matron. Common, this is a common coin in the Oley Valley. This is the braided hair, another U.S. coin. Very rare coin. Flying eagle. I think they've been on for about 3 years. Very rare. I did find one on the family farm, but that's the only one I ever found. Indian pennies. We find these a lot. We found a handful behind Gene Shane's schoolhouse, a handful of these coins. The kids, those are their money for lunch, I don't know, but that they were there. Wheat penny. The kids today do not know what they are, because sometimes I'll go to school, pass these out, and the kids don't know what they are. So that's telling my age too, or my age kids don't know what the wheat pennies are. This coin's one of my favorite coins. Again, I keep saying everything tells a story. This coin was found on one of the Turk farms. This coin's 1630. Okay. I couldn't tell what it was. I looked it up and I was able to see it. Next slide, you can see what it should look like. That's that coin. It's not the same coin, but that's what it should look like. A silver coin. It came from Holland. And I'm like, Holland? What's it doing in the Oley area from Holland? My wife and I, we like to watch Netflix, okay? We were watching a movie called Versailles, right, Judy? Versailles. And I'm like, listening. King Louis XIV. He was Catholic. He did not like the Protestants. He chased the Protestants out of France. These Protestants were known as the French Huguenots. They went to Holland for a few years. And then they came here. De Turk, De Levan, Bertlet, Herbin, they're all French. That coin, I think, came over with the Huguenots, found on a De Turk farm. Does that make sense to you? It makes sense to me. I may be wrong, but I found that coin. That's my favorite coin. Because my wife is part French, believe it or not. She said, no, I'm Pennsylvania German. I said, okay, let's make a bet on this here. She's 20% French. So some of you are probably French if you're from the Oley Valley and you've been here a long time. Your background, because she lives on the Herbine farm, which is next to the Snyder farm where Chucky Hetrick lives, right? That's the Snyder farm. So one's French, one's German. Hey, time goes by. These came from the Barry Hoffman farm over, what road is that? Freesburg Road? Yeah. Okay. I did not find these, but I know these came from that farm because your uncle gave me these arrowheads. He was a Ritter, right? Somehow. Walter Ritter, he was commonly known years ago. And that they came from that farm. And we still go there today and still look for arrowheads. It's harder because he doesn't plow. He does a little bit, not no-till. Was it chisel plow? He chisel plows, and sometimes we can find more arrows. But these came from the valley here, which is kind of neat. What this is we went to a place down near where I live. The Manatee Creek is in front of my house, and I walked down through the woods, and I saw the house was all caved in. And I told my neighbor about it, and he said, oh, they've been down there detecting, it's all iron. But then I saw the field. I saw there's a field there, and I went out in the field, and this is what I found, all these coins. King George, Liberty Cap, King George, Matron, King George, Matron, Liberty Cap, King Williams, which is a 1699 coin, King George, Indian Head, so forth and so on. And what I did was you can't see the little numbers up there very well, but I kept track of where I found these coins. Out in the middle of the field. And the house is abandoned, it's been abandoned for years, it's all caved in, but these were out in the field. So I saved them all, I have them. But just to show you what can happen sometimes, you get what we call a hot spot. This was, I guess, in one of the books. That's a walking bridge across the Manatoni near Earlville. That's a good place to go and detect, by the way. If people cross the bridge, they drop things. Again, that's the end of the day and some of the events that we go to around here. I save everything. I don't sell anything at all. And we had a discussion. I had a discussion with my wife the other night. She said, "What are you going to do with all this stuff?" And she knows what to do with it. We're going to give them back to you guys someday. This is a friend of mine. He's from New York. He came down to visit. He's the one who does an event up in New York called Dig Stock. 300 people attend, and he does one down south also. And I guess that's it.
But anyway, it's a fun hobby. It keeps me busy. I just enjoy it. And any questions? Any questions about what I do? My favorite coin I showed you on the screen there. The other favorite thing I have is probably it's a snuff box here. Right here. It's a snuff box. Troy, I found this on your farm here. Little snuff box. The initials are on there, and it's L in the middle. I think it might be the band, possibly. I don't know where they live. Oh, Lesher. Was your farm a Lesher farm? Okay, well, here, let me just show it to you. It's kind of a neat little snuff box. Silver, but that was in the pasture there, right in your pasture. So, historical side, we'll get to someday. So. Any questions? Give you a chance, yes.
Could you tell us about your equipment?
Oh, my equipment, yeah, I throw along here. This is my newest one. This is the Equinox. Right away, someone might want to know how much they cost. About $650, I guess it would be. Not too bad. Headphones. The best way of learning how to use this is YouTube, really. Watch YouTube. And they show you how to use it. Let me see if I can turn it on. Right. Okay. Kind of noisy stuff, but anyway, you listen to that sound. Let me just do something here a minute. You want to help me? You want to be my helper here? Just hold on to that.
Every time he goes out, I always say to him, "Bring me a diamond ring back," and he hasn't done that yet, so I'm waiting for the diamond ring.
There's a lot of concrete in there. I'm going to put this down here on the ground. I'm going to put it on the ground here. I'm not quite sure it's going to work here. Let me see if I can listen for it. But, I guess too much iron in here.
Go in the middle over there, put your box over there, and notice the people in the back.
Put this in here. I guess there's too much, what do you call this? Let me try to bury this here. Doesn't work too well because we're inside here. But it's a learning experience, it's a learning curve, but after a while, it's easy to do. It really is. I have two of them, one for water. I found out that there's a lot of things found in the creek, so this is what I use for water detecting. It's a Garrett, waterproof, and I find some neat things with that in the water. Matter of fact,
One of the things we do is we do videos, YouTube. If you've ever done YouTube, you can check it out. We need one of these things. Feel that. Would you carry that around with you all day?
It's very heavy.
So we have shovels and see what else we got here. We need this. Once we dig a hole, we need to sometimes work things out. So this is like a little knife that we use for digging holes. And it's always nice to have knee pads. Keep your knees from getting wet, dirty. Right, Judy? Easy for the wash. This here, if you don't have this, you might also stay home. We call it the carrot. Dig a hole, you have a big pile of dirt there, and you're maybe looking for a dime, possibly, or something little. So, I'll show you how this works here in a minute. Oh, I'm getting too old. It's hard to bend over. Let's see. So if that's the soil, you hear that little buzzard? Where's my metal on my head? Yeah, there's metal on my head here. You hear that? So if you're digging dirt and you have a little coin, hear that? How would you find it? So we found it. Now there's a little diamond here. See if I can find it. That's a litter for cats, so it's not used. Right, it's somewhere. In here somewhere. Hear it? Went all around here, couldn't find it. It's there somewhere. Usually, if it's dirt, you can push the dirt away. Oh, there it is. I can see it now. So it's just a little dime. But again, if you would not have this, you'd go crazy trying to find it. So. One time I forgot this, and believe me, you go crazy trying to find anything. Okay, Judy, did you get some tickets here?
Does anybody, who didn't get a ticket? He's gonna give out a prize.
Over here. You didn't get tickets? I got some coins here. I thought just maybe chance them all, whatever. Coins I found in the area here.
Who else had your hand up? There's two I gotta get. Go get more tickets. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I thought this was a bell, but actually it looks like a bell, right? But this had, again, I researched this, it had a long stick to it. Candle snuffer, that's what it is. Candle, it had leather in here that they would wet the leather as a snuffer. Now, across the street from my house. So. This was found on the Weaver Market Farm. It's a little bank, little toy bank. I thought that's kind of cool. In the ground, 6 inches deep. I've never cleaned it up, but this.
Charlie, can I ask you where you were on Martin Weaver's farm? Because we know for a fact there's a second graveyard on that property in addition to the one out front. And I know it's pinpointed, but I was curious as to whether you had.
I do know the one that's out front, and we went across the whole farm, but no, I did not see any other graveyards. No. Are there gravestones there?
It's one child.
Oh, one child.
And it's located, everybody's been searching in the wrong place for decades. Everybody's been searching over by the quarry because the writing we have on it says it's 200 yards due south of the existing buildings, but I think they were looking at the wrong existing buildings. There's a.
There's the one that's in ruins down there. Is that
Yes.
the second building you
Yes,
think
and
that
you
you're
go
talking?
200 yards due south of that, it takes you to a little grove of a couple trees, and I was wondering if you had been down in that area.
If you're facing the graveyard from the highway,
Yep.
there was a house to the left. Did you know that?
Yes.
You
All
know
the way
there's-
on the left by the tree line.
Yes, there was a
Yeah.
house there.
Yeah,
Okay,
if you
but
go
we found
200
things
yards
around there.
from that, it takes you to a clump of trees that at one point was the dump, because it's full of old broken milk bottles.
Yeah, we found that dump. Yeah, we found
Okay,
it.
so it's probably in there. But I
Yeah,
was just wondering
that
if
was
it down there.
that's a big farm. We found some nice things down there we redid. This, believe it or not, is a prize right here. Tom knew what it was right away. It's a trade axe. The troops carried these axes, Revolutionary troops. So that's old. That's 1770s maybe. So, you know, people look at that as junk, but you know, some soldier carried that. So it's kind of a cool thing. So, yes,
Show my favorite piece.
which is your favorite?
The little piggy.
Oh, yeah, the little piggy. Where's that? Oh, here it is. Tom, this came from your property in New Hanover. Right there, little piggy. That's what that is. This held matches. The head opens up. Matches go in there. It's a little piggy with a little curl to it. And you strike them with the line. Held matches. I was in the middle of the field. What this is doing in the middle of the field, I have no clue, but that's where it was. So it's a unique little piece. So,
I have a question. If you find a coin and it's rubbed smooth,
yeah.
and obviously it's, any suggestions? Is there,
It's really
does
tough.
somebody have a microscope or something?
Well, what we do, believe it or not, sometimes it's rubbed smooth, but if you get a light, like I have one here, it's rubbed pretty smooth, and you get a bright light, and hold it like this on the side, you can see, like this is rubbed smooth, but I can see a reef on it, and I can see a head, okay? Hold it sideways like that. That helps a lot. Do not wash it in water, ever, especially copper coins. That will take off maybe a thin layer that kind of ruin it. So, and I put a little bit of Vaseline on it, just a little dab. Yes?
What's the deepest that you ever found anything?
Along 662, 13 inches deep.
13.
My nicest coin, King George, what was it, King George I, I think it was. It was in perfect condition. It was down Old Sweet Road, 662 was Old Sweet Road. It was down in the clay, and it preserved it. So, yes, Carl? I thought you had your hand up. Sorry about that.
No.
Yes.
Charlie, I assume you do most of your stuff on private property?
Yes. Permission, yes, I get the permission. Sometimes it's difficult, but most people are pretty kind around here.
Okay. I'd just like to get your thoughts on something, and if anybody else here, you know, I know most of these people are involved with history. Anybody has any comments, I'd like to hear it. I spent a lot of time up in north central Pennsylvania. Anybody familiar with that area know it was logged out probably from, 1850 to 1920. There was railroads all over the place, logging camps. I have some friends in the past, probably going back 30 years, maybe even more, did a lot of metal detecting up there. Found they have a collection of some very unique historical artifacts. And now, I don't know if they were doing it illegally or if it was recently enacted, but I understand that you cannot, it's illegal on Pennsylvania state forests, state parks. You cannot take anything like that out of the area. Now, to me, that's ridiculous because all this great history that, like, these friends of mine have metal detected and roamed around the woods and found some fantastic things is going to sit in the ground and rot instead of being preserved for people to see and know. I'd just like to get your thoughts on that and anybody else.
State game lands is off limits. The state parks, state forests, if you go to the person in charge of that area, a friend of mine lives up that way. He has a YouTube, Potter County Diggers. Potter County Diggers. He's a friend of mine. He gets the permit from some state parks. It's up to the person who's in charge of that state park. If they like
State
it.
parks, but not state forests.
State forests also. The state park, but game lands is all. If it's game lands, forget it. But if
Okay.
it's state park and forest, if you go to the person that's in charge of that particular area, state park, you can get the permit, and he has already. So you can do, if you're from that way, you'll have to watch his YouTube stuff.
All right,
He was just there this past week finding stuff at some state park.
because I have
And
a,
he actually got the permit from this
I
person,
have a detector,
superintendent.
and I worked a couple of railroad lines
Yeah.
and found a couple of interesting things. And I figured, well, we didn't catch it.
Yeah, it's good up that way for the detective, it really is.
Thank you.
One of the things that I like to share with you is I found a lot of things here, and I've given a lot away, given actually back to people. We were in Jersey one time, we did this house, and we found a class ring, like 1958 class ring, and we found that, looking at, the ring, with school, the initials were in, it was a gold ring, and then we found that here this person lived at this house years ago. We actually were able to find out where she was, and she thought it was a joke. We found class ring. She said, "Oh, okay, tell me more," right? So yeah, we've given back about maybe 5 class rings to people who lost the rings and were like a little bizarre. They think we're a little bizarre calling them up, and they said, "No, we got this ring. It's yours. We checked the yearbook. We called us blah blah blah," and they're very happy about it too. And there is a group called Ring Finders. If you ever lose a ring, ringfinders.com. It's a group of detectives that will go out in that area. If they're from that area, they'll help you find your ring. Yeah. A good friend of mine has scuba gear and everything. She actually goes in the water and finds rings. Yeah. She's on the internet too. Her name is Allison from Canada. She finds rings for people. So ringfinders.com if you lose a class ring. Yeah, we've given a lot of stuff back. I found a beautiful gold ring on the Cruiser farm. And it was right near a house there. I guess Judy Leister lives there. Is that right? Judy Leister lives there. It was on her property line. I knocked on the door. I said, "I found this ring." And she looked at it. She asked her husband. I said, "Well, maybe you play volleyball." Asked your uncles, aunts. Because I wanted to get the ring back. I found it. It's not mine. But I was trying to find out whose it was. So we do give stuff back. We also go places where people would like to have everything we find. And we're okay with that. We just do it because it's fun. Most people say, just enjoy yourself. Just show me what you have. And we move on. Sometimes we actually will find old keys, old house keys. We give them to the owner. We find anything related to the property. I was at a place down there on the other side of Boyertown. The place was a Tyson homestead. Last name is Tyson. That's a common name down there, right, Troy? Tyson? In your area, down at Solderton area. Anyway, I found trapping tags. They used to put tags in traps. And it was no longer a Tyson farm, but an old guy next door, his name was Tyson. And here was his grandfather. So he was happy to see these from his grandfather, these copper tags that we found in the ground. So that was kind of cool to do. So, yeah, it's been a fun trip. Like I said, I've only been doing it for 3.5 years. And I'm the old guy. There's not many people my age out there doing it for some reason. Most of them are between, well, Judy met a lot of my age. How old are they? 35, 25, 35, young people.
He's the only one.
I'm the old man. But I keep up with them as best I can. I sit in my truck once in a while, but that's okay. They're friends.
Do you find something every time that you go out?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. You want to see our most common find? Yeah, we usually find stuff every time we go. That's because we research.
When they don't go for 1 hour, they go for 8 hours straight.
This is from the other day, last week, Gene, when I was gone all day for whatever. This is our most common find, by the way, right here. Right here, our most common find. What is beer can? Soda can. Now, metal detector will not find this, If I'm in the field, a farmer's field, I pick it up, put it in my bag. This is a common find. Piece of aluminum when people do their gutters, their houses, blows out in the middle of the field, believe it or not. Here's your light here. But this is what I found the other day, just up through Oley here. I did find this, looks like a punch, an old punch. And if I see like even bottle caps, plastic bottle caps, the detector doesn't find it, I pick it up because it's trash. So that's a policy we all have, by the way. If you don't detect, at least with me, you take the trash with you. If you see this in the field, because we lost 2 cows one time. Remember, our cows ate shredded aluminum. We lost 2 back in the day. We used to farm, her and I. And now this was found with a detector. That's like an old hammerhead of some sort, chisel or something. So a lot of junk. You know, I take it with me. Bullets, old chunky iron. We find it, we don't put it back in the ground. We find an old chunk of iron like this. You know, don't know what it is, not worth anything, we take it with us. So we try to do the right thing. We see trash, we take the trash with us. And this is probably the most common thing we find. So yes, we do find stuff every time we go out. So sometimes not good stuff, but we take it with us. So, any other questions? Yes.
How deep do you detect?
The furthest 13 inches probably is the most that we can find. Now they have machines that will go deeper, but they're very expensive. But what we do, the ones we use are fine. So if you ever want to buy one, friends of mine, they actually sell them. So you know, if you ever want one. Any other questions? I only ever got in trouble with my wife one time. Left in the morning, came home at 11:30 at night. What happened? We were done at 7 o'clock. Found the bar. We were done detecting, and the guy I was with, his name is Kurt France. And he, if you ever want to watch some good videos, it's called The Hoover Boys. The Hoover Boys. He came up, we were detecting, he was ready to go home, and I said to him, it's a shame we didn't have time to go at this one location I wanted to go to. He said, where's that? I said, it's not too far. He said, well, let's go. It's 7 o'clock, you know, we still have some time. What time did I get home that night?
11:30.
7:30. We really started finding
Calling
some.
the hospitals,
Well,
the police.
My phone died, and I didn't have my phone. Everybody's phone died. We had no phone. We were out in the middle of a field. We actually found a hot spot. Civil War stuff, and that's here in Oley, Civil War stuff. You know, buttons and the, what's that called on their shoulders when they have buttons? Yeah, we found one of them. So we just stayed there. It was tremendous. We found for candles, to cut the candles, what's that called? To cut the candles thing.
Wood cutter.
Yeah.
Trimmer, wood trimmer.
Yeah, wood trimmer, we found one in perfect condition. We found a lot of relics, and we found some old coins and stuff. So that's the only time my wife got upset with me. She thought whatever, got lost.
Well, I found out when they go out metal detecting, you just don't go for an hour. You go for the whole day, and which is fine, but
Well,
I didn't know that the first time.
An hour of that is at the M&M shop, by the way.
Yeah.
1 hour. That's where we have our meeting. You know, your meeting was pretty short. Our meeting is a little bit longer there, especially when you get a cheese steak, or cheese hoagie steak, whatever,
Yeah.
French fries. That's about an hour.
Yeah.
So, but it's fun. One of the things that I was really proud of this at the Border Town Hunt, we had offered it to kids free to come out, and we did a seated hunt for the kids. We had 100 kids show up. 100 kids show up, and they didn't have a detector. We supplied the detectors to the kids. They went out. You know, they found 3 items. And then we give them a prize. They kept the items like, you know, dollar coins, whatever. Yeah, so it was fun to see 100 kids show up. So we just tried to, you know, spread the word, get the kids out there. It's nice to see the mom and dads there. So, you ready, Gene?
Here's your things.
Okay, we got some coins to give away here. First of all, I'd like to, this little bag here had a little point in it. But there's a young girl, her name is Digger DeJazz. Digger DeJazz. She has a YouTube channel. She goes to the events. She was at Big Stock up in New York. She's from Maine. She came down last year to visit me from Maine. She gives these little packets out to everybody who shows up at the event. So 300 showed up. She gave me one of these here, and there's a coin here. So I actually asked her, I texted her, and I said, can I give your little bag away to somebody tonight? She said yes. So Earl, since you're a good friend of mine, we go way back. I still remember when you ran out of gas on the road. And being a farmer, I had a gas can in the back of my truck. So remember that? Okay, so we got ticks. The last three is 356. 356. 356, there you go. Little Liberty Jazz. She does a podcast every week, by the way, on TV. I mean, on the YouTube. Okay, another one, 317. 317. You got 317? Okay, we got here a coin. Okay, there we go. Nice little silver dime. That's a barber dime. Did you ever see them when you were a kid, barber dimes? Maybe for lunch? Okay, barber dime. That came from the valley here somewhere. Okay, we have 339. Okay, we have for you one that I found this at Yellow House, Mercury dime. You don't see these around too often, do you, anymore? That's silver. No more silver. It's all copper. What's interesting to me, I sometimes dig these new pennies made out of zinc in the ground. They're half gone. Really, they're half gone. They're deteriorating. It's bizarre. Okay. 344. 344. 344? Oh, there you go. We got you I think it's, Indian head penny. There you go. That probably came from the schoolhouse up there in this week. Where Shane lives, the schoolhouse behind there. Okay, 349. 349, there you go. This probably came from your farm. This is a 1875 seeded dime. 1875 seeded dime. There you go. Silver dime. Okay. Okay. Thank you. I'm very thankful to the Browns. They were gracious enough to let me detect on the farm there, and also the Alders. Thank you, Alders. And the Snyders. Oh, Grover Snyder. My brother-in-law, I stay away during deer season though, right, Grover? Right? Don't show up on the Snyder farm during deer season. One of my friends found that out. Right, Grover? Yeah. 324. 324?
In the back.
Back here.
Where?
Your sister-in-law.
My goodness. This probably came from your backyard the other day.
I told you I throw all my coins out.
There you go. 1890. You remember that?
Yeah.
1890. My sister-in-law.
You just told me about that time when you brought a little
My brother-in-law, Grover, he said, Grover lives on, what's the road? Can you help me out? Oley Turnpike Road, thank you. He knows Oley Turnpike Road. If you go past Oley Turnpike Dairy, if dairy's on your right, keep on going. It's the next farm on the right? That's where you guys live. Well, across the street, he has a log house. You can't tell it's a log house because it has siding on it, but it's a log house. It's old. It's a Herbine log house. So I like to go along the road to detect along the road, but you got trash and stuff like that.
So I was in the road about maybe 20 yards. Were you there that day? Whoever was there, I guess.
I was there, so, yeah.
And I had a good signal. Dug deeper, deeper, deeper. Well, I was like a dog in a groundhog hole. My head was down pretty far. A guy stopped his car and came out. Are you all right? Are you all right? So you know, I sound fine. But when he thought I was having problems. So, but anyway, are you all right? So all kinds of weird things happen. I truly must say, most people are gracious to come to your house and dig holes. You gotta be a gracious person. My wife probably wouldn't allow. Would you allow me to dig holes?
Depends on where you're gonna take me for dinner that
Okay.
night.
So the boy, Zook boy, Zook has a farm. What's his the White Zook. White Zook. He invited me down to do the field and near the house there. He said, "You can do the field." Well, we got in the field; it's frozen, right? He sees us chopping. We get these good signals of chopping, and I found a murky dime, and I worked hard for the dime. And he's like looking and stuff, and he said, he does this. He says, "You can do it around the house," because the house wasn't frozen because of the grass. The grass was pretty high, but the bare field was frozen. So he lets us do the house, and I thought, oh, I agree, you know, was gracious that he let us do this. And yeah, we found some cool stuff there at the house. We found parts of a gun, an old gun, and Indian pennies and tokens, and we also find modern coins too, by the way. It's not always old stuff, we find the modern coins. So he left us do this. He actually let us come back again, do his house again, because we weren't quite done. So that was kind of cool. And he found out when we were all done, the way these shovels are made, the way they're made, they can make a nice circle, like a plug, and our detectors tell us how deep to go. So you make a circle, we pull the plug out, we find the item pretty quick, easy, pinpointer, and then we put the plug back, we step on, and you can't even tell that there was a hole there. So it's pretty good. So.
I think that's kind of interesting, you told me on how things set.
Oh yeah, you know, it's very weird. All this stuff here is, you know, I can't explain this here. I really can't. Even though I have a science background, I can't explain this here. This would be maybe 6 inches deep. A 1735 coin be over 6 inches deep. Everything is 6 inches deep. It goes down, boom, it seems to stay. I don't know if it's because the farmers have a clay layer. They said clay layer stops them from going deeper. But most of the stuff you see there is 6 inches deep, maybe beyond. Now, the coin I found along the highway, it was pretty deep because of, I guess, the fill and stuff like that. But in a farm field, it's not really that deep. This would be 6 inches deep. A 1724 coin would be 6 inches deep, like side by side. It just goes down and stops. Over time, yeah. It's just, but that seems to be, we'll dig deep. We really don't dig deep. So I guess my time up.
Charlie?
Okay. All right. I guess you do refreshments and stuff, right? Yeah, come up, take a look. I'll be here if you have any questions.
Charlie,
Yes,
what was the most valuable thing you ever found?
I have it in my pocket. This is crazy. This is crazy. Look at this. Look at this coin. And you know, I almost gave this coin away, by the way. I didn't know what it was. It's one of the first coins, U.S. coins made in America. It's a ½ cent. It's a ½ cent Liberty Cap. A ½ cent Liberty Cap. One of the oldest ones, 1793. Very, very rare. This would be in good condition. It'd be a $55,000 coin. 55,000. It would be in good condition. It's environmental damage. Now it's only 40. No, but I had it. It's a $3,000 coin right here. It's crazy. I know. It's like 3,000. It's rare. They know what it is. She's facing. Miss Liberty is facing to the left, which is very rare. After 1793, they were facing to the right. So we know can't see the date real well, but we know it's a 1793. We know it's a Liberty Cap.
We know it's one of the first coins ever made, as you know, after we became a country, very rare coin. It's in my pocket, so not that interesting. It's just, it's so tiny. So my wife wants me to make sure I label this one.
I want to know which one that is. Where did you find it?
I found this lime kiln and Weaver Road at the Brumfield homestead, Brumfield. Bill, you know that place where Tom Sachs lives, okay? It was over the bank. Now that place is amazing. I found out that the troops marched through there. The Hessian prisoners marched through there. They stopped there on the bank and rested. There was a place for the wagons from Philly, a drinking, what's it called, a spring there for the horses. Post office was there, there was rooms there for overnight guests. The Daniel Boone family, the kids played there. Very historical home, very historical. But the eagle that you saw on the saddle, that was from that place. Totally incredible property. Everything's been saved, nothing's been sold. And Tom's been very gracious to us, and he knows everything someday will be donated to a historical society or whatever someday. But that's the Brumfield. Actually, Weavertown used to be called Brumfieldville. I think I pronounced it right. But that home, if you ever see that home, Weavertown Road and Limestone Road, it's a big stone home. And inside the windows, Tom took me inside, and the windows has like a little door slot where you can slide it outside and people would get their mail. They wouldn't come inside the house. The colonial people would come and get their mail and he'd pull the slot back in. So, historical home, again, very close to the Boone family, Lincoln family. They were Quakers. They went to the Quaker meeting house up the street from there. The place was amazing. It was ever giving with stuff, relics and stuff. It was crazy, it really was. So that's where this coin came from. And again, I didn't know what it was. Did not have any idea what it was. I looked it up. I was like shocked. Again, the oldest coin I found is 1630 over here in Oley, near the Turk Farm.
Charlie, they had the turnpike there as well, and they used to have the type that turned, and a half cent is what the person would have to pay if they had a horse.
Okay, half cent.
One horse
Right.
would have to be a half cent.
What years are you talking about? What
Early 1700s.
early 17? Yeah, the half cent is very common coin back then, right? Yeah.
So I would say, yeah, like 1750, 1760.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we find quite a few of the classic half cents, but that's like around 1810, 1812, something like that. So everything I find has a story. Once I find something, like I think about it. I think about like this Conestoga bell between the Snyder Mill and the Boone Homestead. If the horses had about 10 of these, on each horse had about 10 of these, and this fell off near the Stoffus property or the Snyder Mill, dropped down right along the road. By the way, it's right along the road. So it's cool. The dingers, I have it at home. The dinger that goes inside. So, okay, that's it. Thank you.